All right, what's going on, everyone? I'm going to jump straight into this video because I think it's going to be pretty long. The goal of this video is for people that have either decided to use Azure to host their validator, or they're kicking the tires around with the two or other ones, and they just wanted to deploy a virtual machine in Azure. And this doesn't have any steps with onboarding, installing any of the Vitruveo code. That will be next. This is just the cloud side of things. So once you click on the link, which would be in the description for Azure here, you're going to go into a repro in GitHub, and it gives you two choices here. Pretty simple. The Azure is going to be the platform you can see here, but whether you're using Windows or Mac, there's a guide for both. This video is going to be for the Windows users, so I'm going to click on the Windows icon here. Next, there is a start here, so some prerequisites. Pretty easy, 4 steps here to go through before we, well, hit step 4, which is actually going through this guide. But step 1 to 3 here is, first you're going to need an Azure account. You may already have one, but if you don't, then if you open that link there, it's going to take you to the Azure sign up page or start for free page. And Azure will give you $200 credit, right, a free tier, and it lasts for a month. So it's a pretty good option, I think. So you click on Start Free here, and it should take you to a page where it says, hey, have you got an existing account with Azure? If not, you can go and create one. So you click on this no account, create one here. And yeah, you create a new Azure account with an email address. So you can use an existing email here, a personal one, or you have the option here to create a new email address. You may want to separate your personal with your Vitruveo account. That's what I do, but that's up to you. So once you have an email, a new one or a selected one, the existing one you have, then you're going to enter that here, and then you're going to click on next, and you're going to go through the sign up process, which will involve some personal details, etc. So that's the first step. Once that's done, the second step is you have to pick a region where your validator is going to run. Okay, a region within the world. And the easiest way I found, well, to do this is click on this link here. I'm gonna pull this in just due to rendering on this virtual machine I'm running. So once you click on that link, it's going to give you this pretty cool interactive globe. And so you can see here I'm in Europe, and I mention in my instructions there, so step 2, that you're going to pick one of these green or turquoise or whatever color it is, but the green dots here. Now you're looking to pick a region, as I said, where your validator is going to run. So have a look around, what makes sense to you. Technically, if you're located in the US, you could run one in Europe, and vice versa. It just depends on, I guess, tax obligations and things like that. But again, that is up to your discretion. So once I have picked a green dot where I want to deploy my validator node, I'm going to remember that. Okay, in my example, I think I'm using Sweden Central, and also I'm referencing maybe East US as well in some of these steps. So East US or Sweden Central. Okay, but even if I go down to South America, you can see here there's one data center for Azure in Brazil South, but I'm going to remember that name. Okay, all right, so let's pull that out. I now have my region. The third step is probably the most difficult step, and it's pick a virtual machine size or use the suggestion in this guide. So I came up with the middle of the road SKU for the virtual machine, and it is in the guide later, but again, it's probably better if you at least have a look around here and do a little bit of reading to see what makes more sense for you. If I could give you any advice here, it's if you click on that link and you look at the types here, stick at the top three. All right. Now, the general purpose different sizes here, they are going to be a little cheaper than the compute optimized and the memory optimized. So if money is you know, priority, which it is for a lot, on reducing costs, then maybe look at something in here that is at 4 virtual CPU and 8 gig of memory. If you're looking at, you know, spending 10, 20, 30 approximately dollars per month extra, then maybe in one of these two. For my example, I went in the middle of the range here. I had to pick something, so I went compute optimized, and I think I'd do one of the SV2, I believe. So let me click on that link, and I'm going to come down here, and yeah, I think it's the FSV2 series. So a lot of reading here, but here's a table that will show you up the top here. You can see virtual CPU size, and remember the minimum is 4 virtual CPUs, and then the memory here is 8 gig. So this is the one I picked for the compute optimized. And if I go all the way to the right here, I can see that the network bandwidth is 10 gig. So it's a decent amount. All right, and this one runs you at about, excuse me, 123 a month. This one here. Okay, so once I've done some reading there and I have, you know, both my region, I've decided on my region, I've got my virtual machine, they're the two inputs that you're going to need to follow this guide. Okay, so once I have those two inputs, I'm going to go to step 4. So follow this document on a Windows 10 or Windows 11 machine. This box is Windows 10. I just did this because that's the, you know, the lowest one of the two, and I think that if this should work on Windows 11 if it works on Windows 10. Install all the updates as well. Just make sure everything's up to date and secure, and then you have to be a local administrator on this machine or the machine that you're going to run these steps to be able to deploy. So um, in red here, I put something in here, said review each step carefully and check your steps versus the image. Don't rush. Give yourself, it should take around 30 minutes to deploy this, but give yourself an hour. Yeah, give yourself an hour. I added text here. I added, you know, so for the text learners, the visual learners, there's you know, images for every single step here, and this video as well. So, but yeah, take your time, double check the image, etc. All right, so let's start and go through this on step 1 here. Step 1 is, let's go down to, if you see here in this picture, I used some red arrows here. You're going to type in command prompt here within the search bar, and I'm going to see this run as administrator over here. So I'm going to click on that. Okay, I'm going to click yes to that. So if you're a local administrator on this Windows box or your Windows box, then you should be able to do this, and you'll see administrator up the top here. But what I'm going to do is, this is not in the guide, but you can just run this who am I command /groups and run that. And you can just make sure by going down here and looking at built-in administrators. If you have that listed there, it means the account that you're logged on as currently in this session is part of the built-in administrators group, and that's what you need. All right. And then I just typed CLS there to clear the screen and get back to the top. All right, next step here is, well, step 2 here is create a folder and download some files. Okay. If you notice here, I added these pretty nice copy and paste options for each step within GitHub. So I'll run through this. I think that it would help if you guys did the same thing, is just you can go over here and do click on copy and then go across to the command prompt and paste it in, right click and paste it in, and then hit enter. And you can also check their image here. You can see it's exactly the same, so you know you're following the steps. So type MD space Azure and hit enter. So I'm just going to do a copy and paste. You can type it in if you want, but then you may get some typos here and something might not work. So I know that these steps work, so I'm going to do the same thing. Copy and paste, hit enter. And next here, type CD Azure and hit enter. So I'm going to do the same here, paste that in. And I'm changing to that directory. Okay. And it looks the same as the picture. All right, next, step 3 here, there's only 8 steps in this guide, so it's pretty short, pretty quick to deploy an image. Download some code here. So I wrote this all in Terraform to deploy, and so but you got to download some of the code. So all I'm going to do here is it says click, but clicking on the image download zip. So I've got an arrow here, and I'm just going to click on that, and you can see that it's starting to download the zip file, 23 meg. And so while that's downloading, I'll go to step 4, which is download another package, which is the Azure CLI command line interface. And so you just, by clicking on this image here, I'm going to click on that image. It's doing the same thing. It's downloading that file there. All right, step 5 here is on your PC, open File Explorer and navigate to the Downloads folder. All right, so down here is, you can see this is the icon. If you don't have this icon on your Windows machine, all you can do is type in here Windows Explorer, and you can see, then you can click on this application to run that if you don't have it in your taskbar here. So I'm going to click on the taskbar like the instruction says, and it said, hey, go navigate to the Downloads folder. So the Downloads folder should be here, or it's in the middle here somewhere. So I'm going to open that. All right, next step is right click on the azure-main.zip and select extract all. Now you can see that mine doesn't have an extension here, .zip, but that's fine. It still is the file I need. And you can see that's the same in the picture here. So I'm going to right click on that and I'm going to select this extract all, just like the picture says or shows. Okay. And the next step here is change the location of the extracted files by typing C:\Azure backslash and then click extract. So I'm just going to copy this to make it easier, and I'm just going to dump that in here. So delete that, delete all that data out of there, or that line, and I'm just going to match it up to the image here to make sure I have it correct. Okay, so I see this unticked here. Let's untick that as well so it matches the image. And then it said for me to hit extract, so I'm going to hit the extract here. Okay, and that's extracting some data. All right, so up to C, install Azure CLI by running the file, etc., the MSI file, and selecting all the defaults. Okay, so it tells me to select all the defaults. So I'm going to go to the image, and it says to run that one. So I'm going to double click on that MSI and select all the defaults. So it says tick that and then click install. All right, yes to that question. It's the default. This one takes a little while, so as that is running, I'll go to the next step here. Okay, I paused the video there. It took a couple of minutes, so just let it run, and then I'm going to click on finish. The Azure CLI is now installed. All right, so I'm up to this step D. Navigate to the Azure-main folder. That's where the location is. I didn't do a very good job of explaining this, I don't think, but right click on the file, that, and then extract all. So what you're going to have to do is within your file explorer, you're just going to come down to this PC, and then you're going to go to the local disk, your C drive, and then there should be now an Azure folder there. So you're going to click on that, and then you're going to click on Azure main. and then that's matches what we see in this picture here. So that's the path that you need to get to. All right, I'm gonna now right click on Terraform underscore, etc. That file, and then it asks me to do an extract all again. Okay, and then now if I look at this step E, it says type that and then select extract. Note, make sure it is the same as this image. Okay, let's make sure of that. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to delete all backspace and get rid of all that. I'm then going to right click and paste in here, and I'm going to make sure, as it says, that it is the same as the image where that arrow is, so I can see it says C:\Azure /Azure dash main /, and that is the same as mine here, so I'm good, and I don't have this ticked as well, so I'm going to click on extract. Okay, next step here is close all windows and restart the command prompt as an administrator, like in step 1. So I'm going to close everything out just so it's all done, except for the GitHub browser I'm running here. And next step is to, it says here, restart the command prompt as an administrator like we did in step 1. I'll go down to the search window here and type in command space prompt and run as administrator. Yes to that. Okay. All right, I'm going to double check here that I'm running as administrator. I can see it up here in the left-hand side. Okay. All right, and it's asking me I'm authorizing against your Azure account. So from this command line window in this Windows box, I'm going to connect to the Azure account that I created on the portal. So I'm authorizing against that so then I can deploy my validator node. So I'm going to copy this command line here. I'm going to go back here and see how it looks the same there in the picture. I'm going to hit enter and I'm in that folder. And I'm going to scroll down to B. Authorize to your Azure account using an email and password by typing AZ login and hitting enter. So I'm going to copy that. I see that's the same. Well, let's paste that in here. It looks the same there so far. And I'm going to hit enter like the instructions told me to do. And I'm going to wait here. I'm expecting this text in yellow here, which has come up there, and then I can see a browser that's popped up here, or a tab within the browser, and it's asking me to sign in with that email account that we created in the prerequisites, step 1. So I have one here, a demo account that I can use. So I'm just going to copy that here. Okay, I'm going to paste that there. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to click next. And I'm going to then get the password here. So you would be doing the same thing. You would be using your email account. You would then be putting the password in that you set up. So we're logging into your Azure account. So I'm going to sign in here. All right, so I have MFA, so multi-factor, two-factor authentication, which you should also turn on in Azure if you're going to use that. I think we have another video of that somewhere, but I'm going to do this on my phone. All right. So that's, it says you have logged on to Azure, Microsoft Azure here. And I'm just going to go back to the guide and see if I've missed anything here. So web browser should open. You should put in your Azure account and password. We did that. And once successful, you should see this window and it can be closed. Okay, so that can be closed. That's what we see. And so the last step here, I added one successful move to step 7. I have seen over here a message saying something in red that says, oh, no subscription is found. If that happens again, just try and run the easy login again, type that in and run through the steps again, or reach out to me in Discord and we can try and work it out. But for the most case, it should work for the majority of people like it has for me here. All right, but I'm going to follow this. Once successful, move on to step 7. I don't have any errors here. So step 7 is telling me here is very important. So I'm going to take note here. Take your time as this needs to be done correctly. This is the part where we're actually deploying through Terraform code to Azure. Okay, so the first thing here it's saying type that Terraform init, initialize, and hit enter. So note this can take a while. So I'm just going to do what I've been doing the whole way along, is just copying and pasting. So I'm going to go down here and I see that that says Terraform init. So I'm going to hit enter and I'm expecting my command prompt to look like this, which is initializing the backend. This is just pulling down some of the modules for Terraform locally on my machine here. So it said this can take a little while to pull these modules down locally, but I'm expecting it to be in green here that it is Terraform has been successfully initialized, which is what I have. Okay, copy and paste the following command. Okay, so I'm going to copy and paste this long command. I really don't want to type that one out, so that's going to help me. I'm going to have a look at this note here. So I'm saying here that this command should list all the current Azure regions around the world. Earlier you picked a region. Remember we went through that interactive website for Azure. And now from this list, your region, now from this list, copy your region in this format. Okay, Sweden Central equals Sweden Central, not Sweden. Brazil South equals Brazil South, not Brazil. Okay, so let's have a look and I'll run this command here. I'm going to paste that in here and let that run. So this command is doing what it said in the documentation here. It's just going out and querying all the locations across the globe for Azure. And so in here, some of these aren't actually representing those green dots. They're just extra country names or other services, and they're not actually a region where you can deploy your validator. So that's the point here. If you're wanting to deploy in Brazil, you're going to pick Brazil South because that matched that green dot. And I'll just show you that so we're on the same page here. Is if I go back to here and I go to South America here, and I look, there's that one, Brazil South. Okay, Brazil South, not Brazil. That is not a data center you can, that's not a data center. So if I typed in Brazil and not Brazil South, then it would not deploy, it would error out. Again, in the US, it's going to be East US. I'll show you that, and also Canada East as well if you're there. So I'll just move that out of the way. See, Canada will not work, but I saw Canada East there, or Canada Central. You want to pick one of those. And East US, I saw that one as well. And then the other one was Sweden. Sweden Central, not Sweden. Sweden Central is the one that we wanted because that represents that green dot. Okay, let's move on here now that we have our region. So type Terraform plan or copy and paste it, hit enter, and add your predetermined region and hit enter again. Okay, so I'm going to copy this command. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here, and that's not what I wanted. Let's try that again. Terraform plan. Okay, Terraform plan. So I'm going to hit enter here one time like the documentation told me to do. And it's giving me a message here that's saying which Azure region will you deploy to, i.e. East US or Sweden Central. That is just two examples. Run a command found in the document to discover Azure region values. Well, we just did that. Um, so for this one, I'm going to do something. Um, I'm going to just do the Sweden Central one here. I also tested this with East US and one of the Canadian sites and East US, UK South, and it worked fine. So I tested it with a few of them. But for this one, I'm just going to pick Sweden Central. You could, again, pick any one of the ones that you have already predetermined. The next question, the next input that you need to add here is going to be select the size of your validator, i.e. this is the example that we picked earlier in step 3. And this one, in my example, this was the compute optimize 4 CPU, 8 gig of physical, and as it says here, and it's costing 123 per month. So I'm just going to pick that one. I'm going to hit enter now. Just get back to the guide here. Okay, so here's the one of the optional values you could pick. And I'm just going to scroll down here to follow the guide as well. I put a note here, if you receive an error about a region not being supported, like Canada here, then you pick the wrong one. As we said, it should be Canada Central. Because Canada is not a region, it's Canada East or Canada Central. Remember, we're picking something from those green dots. Okay, now in E here, confirm that it says plan 10 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy is displayed. So we're looking for the same as this pitch here. It says I'm going to add 10 to add and nothing to change or nothing to destroy here. So let's spend a little bit of time in here. Just going to make that a little larger. Okay, firstly, I see that the plan here is 10 to add. Good. Which is what I want, but I just want to go through some of this code a little bit, to see what it's actually doing. For those people that are interested, it says here Terraform will perform the following actions. It says here will be created. So a Linux virtual machine validator will be created. The username is going to be validator admin. Okay, so we'll have to make a note of that too. The location that I put in from the variable question was Sweden Central. Okay, the name of it's going to be validator. It creates a resource group in Azure called rg-validator. I enabled secure boot. You can see the size here as well. That's another variable input that we put in. It goes through and deploys some SSH, like a key resource in the cloud. And there's the username as validator admin again. You can see here that it creates a 256 gig premium SSD disk. And also it deploys some networking components. One of the things that I wanted to do is make sure that we had enable accelerated networking on here. So that was set to true, so that gives us just some better performance at the networking layer. It goes and creates a public IP. There's some private IP things here, but I'm just going to scroll down here. Also, you don't have to go and add your network security groups for the Vitruveo validator because I add that all in the script here. So if you remember, we had to allow 22 inbound. We also had to allow 30303 inbound. So that's all set up. 443 inbound, 80 inbound is all done, and 8545 inbound. But the source prefix has to be this from this IP address. So that's all set up. You don't have to worry about doing that step. It all gets done. And here's the public IP. Here is the public IP, so it just gets put in there for you as well. It's all done. Everything is done. You don't have to configure anything with this script, etc. And at the end here, we'll come to this when we deploy, but I put in an output screen to give you the next steps as well. So you'll be able, once you get your public IP, it will just, as it says here, it will be known after reply, and it will be be shown there. Okay, I'll just move this back to where it was. Okay, so I've confirmed that I have plan 10 there, and my next step is to actually execute this into Azure. So F here, copy this command. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to copy the Terraform apply, and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, as I said, this is actually doing an apply. It's deploying it. So I'm going to hit enter there, and it's going to ask me for the same values again. So I'm just going to scroll up. Oh, I think I actually put it in here, don't I? So I'm going to do Sweden Central again here. You have to do this again because it's a different command for Terraform. So I'm going to hit that, and then I'm going to do this again. Same thing. I'm happy with that size. Hit enter. And then you can match it against these pictures as you go through carefully. I'm sorry, we're at here. So same sort of thing. We enter all that. We enter that. The end here is once it's deployed, it says make sure apply is complete and resources 10 added here. So that's what we're looking for, and it's going to look like this, similar to this. So let's just go back and see how we're tracking here. All right, this may take a little while, but you can see here that it's starting to deploy some of the resources, still creating. Okay, while that is creating, I'm going to log on to the portal, the Azure portal, .azure.com, and we're gonna look at and see. Okay, maybe it logged straight on for me. I was already logged on, I think, so it kind of jumped in. But you would put in your identity, and then you would put in your password again, and then the MFA. All right, so I'm gonna go across to the left here side in the portal, and I'm gonna get all resources. It's this kind of green column option here, and I'm gonna go up to the subscription. You should have only one subscription called subscription one, so you won't have to do that, but I'm gonna do that, and resource group equals, okay. Okay, let's have a look at our guide here, and yeah, so I see here apply complete resources 10 added, so that looks good. And on step 8 here it says your validator is deployed if you get these resources 10 with the following configuration: a pre-configured network security group. I mentioned that earlier, where all the networking traffic has been set up with all the required ports. A static public IP that will not change, which is what we need, bound to the validator. And you can see here that I then output your public IP, so you can take screenshots of all this, etc., for your records. Um, a key pair to securely SSH into your validator when needed. So in Azure, we deploy the public key and then the private key. I'll show you in a sec. You have the private key locally. So in Azure Ubuntu VM, now the version, I'll show you the version of Azure, version of Ubuntu that I selected for this is 23.04. It's actually the latest. Um, and I've been running that version on my validator and it's working fine. I thought it's better to upgrade instead of needing to upgrade in the future. You have to take your node down, so you've just got the latest and greatest version of Ubuntu that's been released. The AWS instance is still 22.04. I don't think they have a 23 up there yet, but yeah, so the instance is four cores and 8 gig of RAM and a 256 gig SSD, premium SSD. And the last piece here is the validator.pem file has been downloaded locally. So to do that, I'm going to show you, you've got to go into File Explorer and you've got to go back to your local disk here. Typically it's going to be C. You're going to go to Azure and then Azure-main. And I found a way to actually pull this locally on your machine, wherever these files are, which is pretty cool. This is the private key. This is an extremely important file. This is your seed phrase to your validator. So while you can leave this locally here, I suggest that you then go and take a copy of this key, this PEM key, and put it on a USB stick, not to anything in OneDrive or Dropbox or anything like that. Nothing in the cloud. It should stay. You should have more than one copy locally within your possession, physical possession in your house. But yeah, so that gets pulled locally, which is pretty convenient. So if I go to the portal here, I'm just going to make this a little larger here. Again, if you go to all resources here, you can see all resources, and my guess is you're only going to have a few here, but I just have to, for mine, change it to go under resource group here and change it to RG-validator, because that's the resource group. You should see this in yours. If it's a new account, a new Azure account, you will have these set of resources that have been deployed to the cloud, all done for you. I'll jump to this is the disk. So this is going to be the managed disk, the 256 gig premium SSD disk. There we go, 256 premium SSD. So some good SLAs against that premium disk in Azure. Okay, I'll go back. The NIC validator, there's really nothing I need to show you in there. If I have a look at the security groups, click on NSG-validator, and I'm going to jump to the inbound security rules. And you can see here that, or you should check on yours as well and follow through here and look at, make sure you have SSH on 22. And then the same, so this is allowing us to SSH into the machine, or into this validator. And then 8545 from this, and then 30303, etc. And you just make sure it looks like this. The public IP address, okay, this is going to be a static public IP here, and this is the one that I've just deployed now. Yours will be different. And this is the actual validator here. Okay, so it's running, currently running here, and you can see the location is Sweden Central, so I put it in the one I wanted. It is a standard F4S v2, and you can see that it shows you that it's 4 virtual CPUs and 8 gig of memory, and you saw the disk, so we're in good shape. And this is the Ubuntu version, 23.1, so the latest version. And so if I go back to all resources, and then there's really nothing I need to show you with the VNet, but there is a virtual network there as well. Okay, so if I go back here, All right, let's continue on in the guide. So we've deployed, and it says here at the bottom of this guide is next step in the process is to connect to your newly deployed Azure instance and install the BTRU validated code. So I'm going to click on this and scroll down here and continue to follow through the Windows documentation. So this document will step you through connecting to your validator and installing Vitruveo validator software. So after deploying your Azure instance successfully, review the commands in each output and copy each, bit of a typo there, but command and run. So I'm going to look over here on my outputs, and it says to me here, on Windows, run 2 commands from the documentation. Okay, review the documentation on guide. Okay, so that's what I'm doing, and I've got 2 commands here. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste that in. And what this is doing is you can see here that that validator.pem file, we're just locking it down. We're removing some permissions on it, so it's not just open. And the second command here, the second command here, I'm going to copy that one as well, and I'm going to come across here and paste that in. And this one is giving read access just to the identity on this machine. So again, just locking it down, not having it open for anyone to have access to that if they could. Okay, so it looks like that in the picture, and then I'm going to go to the next step here. Remove your public IP and add your own public IP here that is detailed in the output, and then type yes to the question that comes up. So I think it's easier if I just copy that, paste that in there, and as it said, I'm going to remove this here, and your public IP is up here, so you would copy whatever yours is that it says it in the output, you'd paste it there and hit enter. And as it said here, yes to the question. So there's a question here. Do you want to continue to connect? Yes. Hit enter. Yeah, we're in. So we're actually now connected to the validator. You can see that the account is validator admin, and the name is @validator as well. So so at this point, the next steps, which aren't in this video, this is just, as I said, the goal is just to get you deployed really quickly in Azure and either go with this SKU or you're playing with it, you're testing it. And what's coming soon is just once you get called on to the onboarding, then we'll go through the next steps of doing that at that time. So the second to last thing I wanted to say is if you went for the free version and you got that $200 of credit, you're not going to burn through that within a month with just these resources. So you can leave it up, is what I'm saying. If you're not using the free version, you're not using the free $200, you didn't get the free $200 credits, you can come into the validator here and you can stop it and click yes to that, and that's going to deallocate that the major cost in what we deployed if you stop it and just wait until you're called. You're still going to get charged a little bit for some of the other resources like the private IP, I think, etc. But the bulk of it is from this, so you won't get charged as much. All right, if you want to do that, that's fine. There is one last thing that I will show you. That if you are kicking the tires here, you want to test this again, here's what you're going to do. This isn't in the guide. You can do a Terraform destroy. Okay, so I'm going to type in this, and this is going to destroy exactly what we just deployed, and that's fine. I mean, you don't want to run this when you really got your validator up and running, but just for kicking those tires or testing things around, you can do this. Okay, I'm in the wrong window here. So you're going to have to type exit to get out of the validator and go back to the command line. And now I can type in, now I can type in Terraform destroy. So just make sure you're back at a command prompt. All right, you're gonna have to go through the same thing again, just copy in your same region that you picked because you want to destroy all the resources from that region, and you want to type in copy and paste in or paste in your exact VM. So once you hit enter here, again, this isn't in the documentation. Okay, eventually it comes up with this question here. It says there is no undo, only yes will be accepted to confirm. So I'm saying yes, I want to destroy my test validator right now because I don't want to pay for it, or I just was testing things. So I'm going to hit yes to that, and it's going to go in. You can see it's destroying everything that and you can see here 10 to destroy. All right, so it's gonna get rid of all this. So if I go back here and go to all resources, yeah, I mean, this is just going to take a little while just to go through and delete some of these resources. All right, it was taking a little while there, but it's slowly starting to destroy some of these things. I'll come back here and click on refresh. Yeah, and you can see we went from 6 to 5. So at the end here, these will slowly just go down to nothing and they'll all be destroyed. Anyway, that was a guide to how to deploy Azure on Windows, and I have the same basically the same steps for deploying Azure on Mac, and so I'll do a video next on that one. So until then, I hope you enjoyed. I hope this helped. Let me know if you have any issues, but it should help with making this a little faster here. So bye for now.